Good afternoon and welcome to Coffee with Grant and Thomas Falker. Today we've got the subject of gut health. It's a very, very interesting one and an important one. So, Thomas, take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Grant. I appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, gut health, I think many people have spoken about it or maybe have also had occasion to worry about it when it is upset the stomach. But what most people probably didn't know, that the health of your gut also affects your whole emotions and your psyche. With an unhealthy gut balance and the incorrect bacteria there, if that drags on for too long, people can even land up with clinical depression. So there's a direct link between the gut and also your brain, your emotions, and how you function. So we're going to speak about gut health, and the subheadings that I have is microbiome, to explain what do we mean if we talk about a microbiome, the functions of this microbiome, and then the balance of that, what's happening in there, because it's a whole system within our body that we're often unaware of. But first of all, what is a microbiome that is often spoken about or you read about it? And that is, in our healthy gut, there have to be billions of bacteria. Some people reckon about 3 billion. Some say more than 10 billion different types of bacteria that function in harmony, that have to be there for a healthy person to have a healthy gut system, functioning gut system, and also to have all the energy and the resistance that we do need. And as I say, this balance can be upset very easily. There are over 230 different types of bacteria and subspecies of bacteria in our healthy gut. Now, if that balance between these 230 different types of bacteria is changed with various factors, then there's an unhealthy balance, and you will notice it immediately and have different symptoms coming up. So what are the functions? Why do we need these billions of bacteria in our intestines and in the gut for normal function? First of all, that these bacteria help with your normal digestion. If you eat and the food needs to be digested, being broken down into small molecules so that it can be taken up into your bloodstream and be used to produce protein or energy, these bacteria produce enzymes that supplement your gastric juices and your small intestine juices and your pancreatic juices that are secreted into the intestine, breaking down fats and protein and fiber and different elements of the food. It's like carbohydrates. So instead of just relying on your digestive juices produced by the lining of the gut and also your pancreas, these bacteria secrete a lot of enzymes that are critical in proper digestion of your food so that it can become available to your body. Otherwise, it just goes straight through and is of no use. Another important function of these bacteria is that they suppress infection, because with your food, there are probably hundreds of bacteria and viruses and things that you also ingest, not knowing about it, because they're so tiny one can't see them with the eye. But they float around in the air. Your food might be standing open for a while, and the contamination might have taken place. And this is just a natural way how our gut prevents those bacteria and those viruses entering the gut and into your body to make you sick. So they are a key element in the first line of defense in keeping you healthy. They also protect the gut lining, because on top of the gut lining, where the food is taken up and the food passes through the intestine, there are lots of these bacteria, and they form a cushion between your food that isn't digested yet and the gut to prevent the incorrect bacteria and things that shouldn't come in that could make you sick to enter your body. And they also help with your immune system, and resistance to infection. So that is in any healthy gut system. We've got these billions of bacteria that function in harmony. It's a huge microcosm that is present and that should be present there for your healthy body to function and be able to do what you do every day. Now, what can upset this balance? And there are a whole host, and this list isn't all inclusive, but it is a summary of probably the most common causes of upsetting that balance within your intestine. The first one is if you continually eat or a lot of junk food. We all know what junk food is. I probably don't have to list that. And also if you buy a lot of refined and processed foods. What happens is, let's take a common example like millie meal. If you just grind the normal maize kernel, that is actually a balanced, healthy food. And the best one that one can buy in a supermarket is probably the braai pap. The braai pap hasn't been sifted. It still contains everything that is in that maize kernel. But then factories start sifting this out, and they take off as much fiber as they can. They take off the sheath of the maize kernel. They take out the germ, which contains all the good nutrients. And then it becomes fine millie meal, sifted millie meal, even number 1 millie meal. So all the good stuff, the important things that we need, have been taken out of the food, and we are left with a fine product that maybe tastes good for a while, but is not very healthy for the health of our microflora, because they do need the fiber, they do need the protein and the germ, etc. And there are lots of processed foods that we know about that one can buy in all sorts of forms and packs. And most of the processed foods have also preservatives. If you read on a pack where it says ingredients, you will see there preservatives like a MSG and many others that are used so that the food doesn't get spoiled by the time you buy it, or that it keeps longer. But these preservatives often have an allergic reaction within the body. It doesn't mean that you feel very sick after it, but over time, it increases this imbalance, and it keeps the imbalance in your gut going for a longer time, and then the health of your gut deteriorates with that. And then any low fiber diets. Fiber is usually found mainly in fruit and in vegetables. That's why in a balanced diet, it's important to have lots of vegetables and a variety of food, which is critical. So if you don't do that on a regular basis, have a healthy diet and a balanced diet, then this balance within your microbiome becomes upset. And people might later on not even notice it. They just notice that they have to keep on eating, that their blood sugars aren't good. They always feel tired. Those are all symptoms of an unbalanced microbiome. Infection. If you get food poisoning or you get something in that upsets it, you will quickly notice that you'll start vomiting, maybe have diarrhea, maybe fever, have cramps and pain, etc. That's now in a severe case. Infection can come in. That would be caused by a bacteria that shouldn't be there, like the E. coli. We've heard about contaminated water that hasn't been sanitized properly. If that fecal E. coli, if you drink it through the water or get it with food into your body, it will upset that balance, and then all these horrible symptoms that follow on it. Another one that upsets the balance, and is quite a bad one, are generally antibiotics. Although antibiotics are good to kill the bacteria that makes you sick, they also kill the good bacteria in your gut at the same time, because they can't differentiate between good and bad bacteria. They just kill bacteria. So what happens is, although you get better from the pneumonia or whatever reason why you've got antibiotics, you are ending up with an imbalance of your microbiome after you stop the antibiotics. And some people take weeks, some even months to recover, to restore that balance, unless they get help to get that restored. I know a person very well. She battles with antibiotics. Sometimes she was forced to take it. And then when they have it, it takes 2 to 3 months to feel healthy again, to have the energy again, to have a normally functioning digestion. So, yeah, antibiotics do have that effect. Right, now, what are symptoms of a compromised gut health or an imbalance in your gut? Right, first of all, often food intolerances. This person can't have that, that can't have this, can't have that, can't have that. Our bodies were actually made quite resistant to be able to handle most foods without feeling bad afterwards, without having an upset stomach about it. So if you are very sensitive, one of the reasons or possible reasons is that your gut health, your microbiome is not in balance. There are too many bad bacteria, too few good bacteria, and the ratio isn't correct. Another symptom could be what doctors call leaky gut. Leaky gut is a symptom that occurs if you've got chronic problems with your intestines, that the openings on the intestines become bigger and bigger, and they allow bigger parts of protein to be absorbed into the body, which in a healthy person wouldn't occur because those pores where the micronutrients are absorbed are so small in a healthy body. But if you've got chronic inflammation of the gut, always feel bloated and unwell, etc., that leads to leaky gut. And that just makes it worse because if these big proteins end up in your bloodstream, they cause a whole lot of new symptoms, which is not good for you. And some people battle that they alternate. They've got constipation and then diarrhea, then constipation, then diarrhea. That is also a symptom of an unbalanced microbiome. A lowered immune system. We explained earlier on how important the microbiome is to produce resistance against infection. And if someone gets sick very easily, very often it goes hand in hand with the unbalanced microbiome or gut health that is not in order. People who battle with low energy, they always feel tired. Obviously, it can be caused by things like diabetes or low blood pressure, etc. But very often this goes hand in hand. Unhealthy microbiome, digestion doesn't take place properly, food gets passed through without being absorbed the way that it should be, and then the body just doesn't have the energy necessary to perform normally. And as I said, in chronic cases, if this goes on for a long time, it is really unhealthy. It can even lead to clinical depression, which is very severe. All right. Right, now, how do we treat it? How do we restore this balance of the bacteria? I think that is very critical. First of all, if someone is sick and has got diarrhea or maybe even is vomiting, something acute that has happened, the best is to just eat something very little, more frequently, and that is easy to digest. Some people prefer a slice of toast, maybe with some light spread on there, but nothing heavy, oily to digest, just something very light. Other people maybe prefer just cooked rice with the sauce, maybe a simple soup, something like that, that the body can digest easily while it is busy restoring the microbiome. Then obviously, in case of diarrhea, it's important to drink lots of water so that the body doesn't get dehydrated. And if you can, also add some electrolytes. Although I don't get a commission selling Coke, but I have found that in many people, Coke is actually ideal in cases of diarrhea or vomiting because it has got electrolytes, it has got energy, and it replenishes and restores that water balance very quickly. Just for interest's sake, that the very, very first Coke 100 years ago was actually developed, the formula for cases of upset stomach, and it was only sold in pharmacies. Only later Coke was sold and marketed in supermarkets as a soft drink, but its initial reason for development was actually a medication. Yeah. Then we recommend drink Quantum Silver to kill the disease-causing microbes. What we have found is that in people who have an unhealthy gut and an imbalance for a longish time, that if they drink Quantum Silver, that sometimes the symptoms will get worse for a day or two. The reason for that is because it kills all the unhealthy bacteria that shouldn't be there. And then the body has to restore itself to get that equilibrium again. So for a short while, one might even have worse symptoms, but they won't last longer than a day or two. Carry on drinking the Quantum Silver because it does good. And then once that restoration happens, you feel a lot better. And then importantly, to use and restore the normal bacteria that should be there by drinking probiotics. Probiotics are simply bacteria, healthy bacteria that we ingest, and they multiply in the gut to help restore that normal balance of good bacteria in your gut. So it's very good to drink probiotics. And then long-term management to restore that healthy gut, because it's critical for your health, even for your mental health and for your energy balance, is that you try your best to eat a balanced diet, which includes veggies and fruit and a variety of products. The more variety we have, the better and healthier it is. All right. Avoid processed and fast foods as far as you can. Now and again, it doesn't matter, but it mustn't be the norm because they contain too many products that are not good for our health. And then we recommend to drink Quantum Silver, either solution or the capsules, for at least 2 or 3 weeks. Now, if it's acute and you all of a sudden have an upset stomach, it's probably good enough to do it for 5 days. Drink it twice a day for 5 days. But if it's been going on for a long time and you battle with bloating, you battle with cramps, you're intolerant to foods, then 5 days of treatment will not totally resolve it. It will help, but it won't be long enough. Treat for minimum 3 weeks, maybe even 4 or 5 weeks, depending on your condition, till you know it's totally settled and it's healthy. The huge advantage of Quantum Silver is that it differentiates between good and bad bacteria. In other words, if you drink that, it will only kill bacteria in your gut that shouldn't be there, that cause disease, but it will not harm your good bacteria. That is very different to antibiotics. Where antibiotics kill good and bad bacteria, our product doesn't. And that's a talk for another day because we know exactly on a microscopic level why our product differentiates. And then drink probiotics also for 2 or 3 weeks, just to reestablish that gut health and get that balance going. You can imagine if you need billions of healthy bacteria, you can't just have 1 pill or 2 pills and think everything will be hunky-dory. It takes a bit longer, and then you will be very happy with the results coming that also last longer. And just the last one, we've got options here. We've got the Quantum Silver capsules, or you can drink the solution. And then on the other hand, we've got the probiotics. Here at the bottom, it says QS probiotics. I'll show you just now on a bigger slide. Or we have put those two together, the Quantum Silver capsules and the probiotics, put them together into one capsule. And there we've got the gut health capsule. All in one. Shop again online. Go on there and find your product. If you've got questions, please go to the chat, send us a questions, and we'll respond as soon as we can. And I again recommend, please have a family pack in your house available at all times. So if something happens, you've got product to immediately use it, and the response and the recovery is so much faster. I just want to show you the products actually that I spoke about. So here we've got the Quantum Silver capsules. It says there Quantum Silver capsules. The other one says Quantum Silver probiotics. Now, if we combine these two and put them in one capsule, then we've got the QS Gut Health. QS Gut Health. So instead of drinking 2 capsules in the morning and 2 in the evening, you only drink 1, and you save money at the same time. So they're really the champion of champions. Grant, yeah, just to give you an example, a friend of mine is a geologist, and he works extensively in Africa, in all the places where you and I probably don't want to go, where they drive out into the bundas for 3 days away from civilization. You can imagine, if they're lucky, what food they get, what water sources there are, etc. So he always takes 2 of these with him on the trip, and he starts drinking before he leaves, and he never stops drinking till he's back, whether it's a month or 2. And he says, Thomas, it's amazing. If my stomach is upset, I know by tomorrow morning I'm fine again. Whereas without this, you'll probably have landed many times in hospital with what he's exposed to. Now, you don't have to go to the extreme to drink this. I think many people battle with their gut for the reasons that we've just discussed. So take a course of this, maybe for a month, and see the huge difference it makes to your life. Yeah. But that would be.
Yeah, look, it definitely does work, Thomas. I mean, you've done such a good job, on basically selling it, but it doesn't need to be sold. People need to buy it because it's incredible. Yeah. So I want to go back to your notes there. I had a debate with somebody the other day on what exactly is processed food, because everyone's got their own idea, and you say, "Oh, avoid it," but then they go and eat it anyway because they don't deem it to be processed. So, fill us in, what is a processed food?
All right. I think each one of us will have a different definition. But if we have a look in the supermarket deep freeze, you can buy, for example, frozen veggies. Now, I've been privileged to see how they actually do that. They get it off the field, they just wash it with water and freeze it immediately. So those frozen veggies are actually as close to natural and good and healthy as you can get. But once food is processed where it is mixed and they add preservatives to it, they add colorants to it, they add sugars to it. Now, it doesn't matter whether it's normal sugar or these sweeteners. Too much of all that is not healthy for our body. So as soon as you add all of that together, it's actually just a ticking time bomb. It will affect your gut health. If you think of a fruit, you can either eat the apple, which is healthy because it contains the fiber, it contains the skin, it's got vitamins in there, etc. Or you drink apple juice that has been squashed. Now, apple juice on the long run, if you take a lot of it, is not healthy, although it comes from an apple, because it's highly concentrated sugar without the fiber. If you eat the apple, the fiber slows down the passage of that food through your body. It reduces the uptake of the sugars that should come into your body. And it's a natural way of stimulating gut movement. Whereas if you drink just that purified juice of it, it's actually not healthy. It's like drinking sugar water, just too much of it. All right. So a glass or two doesn't matter. But if you do that instead of eating an apple, on the long run, it's not good for you. So even the apple juice is processed. Yeah. And as I say, I think everything must be taken. In German, we say in Maßen. A little bit of it is fine. Okay. But anything that you overdo is not good. Yeah.
Good advice.
So to have the odd fast food, no problem. But if that becomes your staple diet and you only cook once a week, then I think you will eventually land up with problems. Okay. And all the sifted food. I mean, our lecturer, because I'm a veterinarian and animal nutritionist, said that the denutritionalized food lands up in the supermarkets. And everything that they sift off, we as animal nutritionists use to feed animals. And they've got very, very balanced and healthy diets. But that's the truth.
Yeah,
because apple pulp, we've just been speaking about apple. Where does that pulp land up? They feed it to cattle.
Yeah.
And they do very well on it because it's good.
I know. Yeah. Maybe we really need to relook at everything. But in the meantime, look after
Just
your
back
gut
to
health.
basics.
Look after your gut health. And that's
Yeah.
it. So as Thomas said, the website, I'll put it on the screen now for you again if you missed it. And Thomas, once again, thank you very much for joining me in a very interesting and serious topic of gut health.
Yeah, thank you, Grant. And we've had now and again people that battle for one or other reason on the online shop. If you don't come right with it or get stuck somewhere, please use the chat and send us a message with your name and telephone number, and we'll contact you and help you to get that order sorted ASAP.
But it
In
does.
general, as I say, 99% of cases it's very easy, but now and again, maybe with the load shedding, maybe with the internet, we don't know. But if you have a problem, there are other ways of contacting us so that you get your product as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's important. Super, Thomas. Thanks again for joining me on Coffee with Grant. Until the next time.
Right. Thank you so much.